So today I'm going to talk about full devotion. This is a concept that I've been diving into myself personally in my own personal practice, and I'll talk about that, how I work with it. I'm going to talk about what gets in the way of it, but first I'm going to talk about what it is and why you should care about it if you are wanting to have more focus in your life, if you'd like to slow down and actually fully be focused on something. And also, if you care about something, if there is something that you care deeply about that you'd like to um, deepen into. So let's talk about full devotion. So, what is it, first of all, and why should we care about it? So, first of all, full devotion is, in one way to look at it, is fully being with a task, fully pouring yourself into something. Another term for it sometimes is flow. Flow doesn't fully capture what full devotion is, but it does move us closer to understanding what it means. So if you've ever been in flow, which is just losing yourself in a task, that is at least a portion of full devotion. So you've really like lost yourself in it. Now this is something that is a beautiful state to be in, but it also means that we are actually really focused and not scattered. It means that we are not distracted by a bunch of other things or trying to switch between a bunch of things. We're not rushing to get past something. We are actually just there with it. What's missing from flow that is in full devotion is a feeling of caring about something, of love. So devotion is another word for love. It's a sacred kind of love. So for example, if you are devoted to your kids, this is not just like I'm there with them, but I'm actually there with them with a sense of I really care about them. I'm really like they are. You have this tender, warm, like loving kind of presence with them, and not just like you're there in the room with them. So that's what devotion is. In religious context, it's devotion is being devoted to God or whatever it is that the religion is putting it front and center. In a work context, it might be something that you deeply care about. You have a purpose in life, a mission, meaningful work. You have a set of people who you are serving and you really care about. And so devotion is really bringing your heart and caring towards whatever it is you are working on. So if you're just trying to get through a bunch of tasks, devotion isn't something that you might need. But if you're actually trying to pour yourself into something with your full heart, that's devotion. What are some of the benefits of it? So I think you get the idea already of why devotion is amazing, but um, I'll tell you a couple of things. One is um, that if we are really pouring ourselves into something, then what gets done in that task is going to be different than if we were just trying to rush through it, or if we have scattered focus. So, for example, if I'm writing a book, then being fully devoted, fully in flow, fully pouring myself into it means that much more of myself goes into the writing of that book rather than I just need to write a bunch of words to get through it. So, an AI can write those same words, maybe even better than me, but it isn't pouring its heart into something. And so, this is one of the benefits of devotion, full devotion to something, is that we pour ourselves into it. We are expressing who we are in that moment in the task. Another thing that I've noticed with full devotion is that there is a sense of really appreciating the task itself, the activity, really being there with a sense of joy and wonder, or at least gratitude and appreciation. So imagine you're out in nature and the nature is beautiful, but you're on your phone and you're just walking out. So you're there in nature, but you're not really appreciating it. Or full devotion would be I'm out there in nature and I'm like, oh my God, look at the gift of this day. And so that is what full devotion can bring to anything that we are doing, whether it's a task like writing or responding to someone, writing a letter to someone, or being in conversation with them, collaborating with people. That is what happens with full devotion. So let's talk about how to do it. And to do that, we need to understand what gets in the way of full devotion. So what usually gets in the way is just habit. I'm going to talk about something I noticed recently around a couple of things. One is my Zen practice. So with Zen, I am studying, like reading some text. I am sewing a rakusu, a kind of like little robe thing. It's really just a rectangle that hangs around my neck. And then I am meditating. So I'm going to talk about my Zen practice around full devotion, and then I'm going to talk about just daily tasks. So with daily tasks, actually, let's start with that. I was noticing, I'm just rushing through this to get to the next thing. Rushing, get to the next thing. And this is a sense of, it's really a form of impatience and even frustration that I'm not like done with this already. And it's like, this is just kind of getting in the way of whatever is next. And that is how I might go through my entire day, just rushing, getting to the next thing, being impatient that this is not already done, and trying to like be to the state of already done with all of this. And that is the opposite of full devotion. Full devotion is really allowing myself to be fully there with that task, with a sense of caring about it, with love, with my full heart, really appreciating the moment where I'm doing that task, whether it's, brewing my coffee or sitting down and reading a book or taking care of something in my life. So any of those things, these everyday types of tasks, I can rush through them and be impatient and wish that it were done, which is what my mind habitually does. Or I can be fully devoted. And so what's getting in the way is the mind's habitual wanting to rush past something. The impatience of, why isn't it already done? Wanting to just get to the next thing. That's a habitual thing that the mind does. So let me talk about the Zen practice. So, reading, sewing, and sitting. In those, my mind habitually is also trying to get through it. But what I also notice is that my mind will put those off and not do it on some days. And so it's, I'm busy. I got a lot going on. Like this is something that I can, it will be fine if I don't do it, which is really the opposite again of devotion. So what's getting in the way there? So I brought this to my teacher and I said, I'm not bringing devotion to my practices. And she said, there's something that you want to get out of it, out of the activity. Like I want to get something from the practice. So for example, with meditation, maybe I want to like feel like a good meditator or feel like I'm accomplishing something, or, maybe it's going to give me a sense of peace and calm. These are things that I want to get out of the activity. So for all of my practices, there's something that I want to get out of it. And she said, what that does is it turns it into work. I'm trying to get something out of these activities and it turns it into work. And therefore, I'm not going to really be excited about it. I'm not really trying to do it. And what she suggested was that I drop whatever it is that I want to get out of it and really just be fully appreciative of the activity itself. Not what I might get out of it on the other side, what might come from it, but what am I appreciative of right now as I'm doing it? That is devotion. And so what's getting in the way is what I want to get out of something. And that doesn't just apply to my practices, obviously. It's what's getting in the way of everything. I want to get something out of this conversation, out of recording this video, out of interactions or emails. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get something out of it, but what we might notice is when we're doing that, it changes the activity from something that I can be fully devoted to something I need to rush through, or that becomes work. So these are the things that get in the way. And hopefully you can see from talking about what gets in the way that there's a path forward, which is notice the mind's habitual tendency to want to rush through something, get to the other side of it, and just slow down and fully be here with the activity. If you're writing a book, fully be there with the activity. And then let go of what I'm trying to get out of it and really just appreciate being in the moment. And finally, I want to suggest slow down, let go of what I'm trying to get out of it, and then suggest that I can fully bring my heart into it, pour my heart into that, which is a practice. It isn't something that we will be good at. We have to practice it. So practice slowing down, letting go of what you want to get out of it, and pouring your heart into it. And then see what happens when you bring full devotion to any activity. You can practice this with writing. You can practice it with meditation. You can practice it with any meaningful work, something that's important to you. You can practice it with conversations and relationships and collaboration. You can practice it with really anything, drinking a cup of tea. If it's something that is worthy of your devotion, then practice it and see what happens. Okay, good luck.